Many centuries ago, there was a great sage named Bodhidharma, who is credited with spreading Buddhist teachings throughout China. This eventually gave rise to what we now know as Zen. At that time, there was a Chinese emperor who lived in constant worry and anguish, his mind always occupied with matters of government and personal problems. The emperor heard rumors about the great sage Bodhidharma and decided he needed to speak with him to find a solution for his restless mind. The emperor sent messengers to find Bodhidharma, and after much effort, they finally managed to arrange a meeting. When the emperor and Bodhidharma met, the emperor, in desperation, said, "Great master, I want you to teach me how to control my mind. I can no longer live with this constant anguish." Bodhidharma looked at him calmly and asked, "Have you brought your mind with you?" The emperor, puzzled by the question, replied, "What do you mean by that? My mind is always with me, I cannot separate from it." Bodhidharma smiled and said, "If you're so sure of that, then do one thing. Tomorrow, I expect you here at 4 in the morning, and make sure you bring your mind with you." The emperor left, perplexed and slightly irritated. What does he mean by, "bring my mind"? He thought over and over again. That night, he couldn't sleep well, pondering the sage's words. Despite his confusion, curiosity, and respect for Bodhidharma led him to decide to show up for the meeting. At 4 a.m., the emperor arrived at the agreed place and found Bodhidharma waiting for him. "I see you've come," Bodhidharma said, "but did you bring your mind with you?" Even more confused, the emperor responded, "My mind is always with me, I cannot separate from it." Bodhidharma then said, "If your mind is with you, you'll be able to find it and show it to me, won't you? Close your eyes and search for your mind, and when you find it, show it to me." The emperor closed his eyes and began searching for his mind. He concentrated deeply, trying to locate where his mind was. He realized he couldn't find it in a specific place, rather, his mind seemed to be a constant activity, always changing and moving, never fixed in one spot. As he meditated on this, he began to understand that his mind was not a tangible entity. It was something always in motion, a series of thoughts and emotions that came and went. After a long period of introspection, he understood that the mind was not something that could be captured or pointed to, it was an activity, a series of mental processes. Bodhidharma, seeing that the emperor had grasped something profound, said, "The mind, like walking, is an activity. You can stop it if you choose. The mind is what worries you and creates all the dramas in your life. But if you learn to stop this activity, you will find peace. That's why it's so important to practice meditation and allow the mind to be still." The emperor, now with a new perspective, recalled a teaching from the Bible that said, "Be still, and know that I am God." He understood that stillness of the mind was key to finding truth and freedom. This story teaches us that the mind is not a fixed entity that we can control or possess. It is a constant activity of thoughts and emotions. By understanding this, we can learn to stop this activity through meditation and introspection, just as we can stop walking by ceasing to move. We can find mental peace by quieting our minds. This understanding leads us to discover our true essence and experience internal freedom. Stillness and meditation allow us to see beyond the illusions of the mind and find deeper truth. As the Bible says, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Story number 2. In a Buddhist monastery, there were 2 monks who had taken strict vows of celibacy, including not touching women. One day, while walking through a dense forest, they arrived at a river whose current had increased dramatically due to a recent storm. On the opposite bank, they saw a woman with her 2 small children. She had been collecting fruits and vegetables but was now trapped, unable to cross the river safely due to the strong current. The woman, visibly scared and worried for her children's safety, saw the 2 monks and desperately asked them for help. "Please help me cross the river with my children. I don't have the strength to do it alone, and if we try to cross, the current will sweep us away," she pleaded. The younger monk, conscious of his vows, stepped aside with the master to discuss the situation. "Master," he said, "we cannot touch this woman. We've made vows that forbid it." The master, however, said nothing. He simply approached the woman, lifted her onto his shoulders, and crossed the river with her, leaving her and her children safely on the other side. The woman thanked them deeply, and the monks continued on their way. For several hours, they walked in silence, but the young disciple couldn't contain his confusion and frustration. Finally, after many hours, he burst out, "Master, how could you carry that woman? How could you break our vows? This casts doubt on everything we've practiced and everything I believe in." The master looked at him with compassion and responded, "I carried that woman for a minute to help her cross the river. You, however, have been carrying her for hours. It's not the act of carrying the woman that matters, but the burden you've chosen to carry all this time." The young monk fell silent, reflecting on his master's words. He realized that the true burden wasn't in the act of helping but in the mental weight he had decided to carry. He understood that his thoughts and worries had created a far heavier load than the action itself. Teaching, this story teaches us a valuable lesson about the weight of the past and how our minds can cling to it, turning it into a burden we carry with us. The master monk helped the woman and then let go, without holding on to any emotional or mental weight. However, the young monk continued carrying that burden, worrying and questioning for hours. Often, we too carry the past, holding on to mistakes, regrets, and actions we cannot change. This emotional and mental weight can become overwhelming, affecting our present and future. Like the young monk, we get stuck in thoughts about what we did or didn't do, instead of freeing ourselves and living in the present. True freedom and mental peace come when we learn to let go of these past burdens. By releasing those thoughts and worries, we can live fully in the present without being held back by the past. This teaching is fundamental in many spiritual traditions, including Buddhism and Christianity, which invite us to let go of the past and find peace in the present. By letting go of the past, we stop resurrecting old wounds and mistakes, allowing us to live a freer and more authentic life. The master monk shows us that true compassion and wisdom lie not only in helping others but also in freeing ourselves from unnecessary burdens that our minds create. Story number 3. In an ancient Buddhist monastery, there were two monks. One was a wise master, and the other, his devoted disciple. One day, the disciple, full of aspirations and desires for wisdom, approached his master and asked, "Master, what must I do to reach your level of wisdom? I want to become a great master like you. What do I need to do to obtain the wisdom you possess?" The master, observing the seriousness in his disciple's eyes, responded, "Very well, I will teach you, but you must be sure that you really want to know how it's done. It's not easy, and if it were, everyone would have it. Are you completely sure? Do you desire it 100%? The disciple, without hesitation, replied, "Of course, I want to know. I'm ready." The master nodded and said, "Come with me." Together they walked toward a nearby river. When they arrived, the master told the disciple to lean over the water. Intrigued, the disciple bent over to see better. Suddenly, the master grabbed him by the head and submerged him under the water. The disciple, unprepared, hadn't taken enough air and quickly began to run out of oxygen. He tried to free himself, but the master held him firmly underwater. Desperation began to grow in the disciple. He struggled with all his strength, but with each passing second, his energy diminished. Panic took over as his lungs burned from the lack of air. Finally, when the disciple was on the verge of losing consciousness, the master pulled him out of the water. The disciple gasped deeply, breathing with an intensity he had never experienced before. Each breath was a mix of relief and urgent need. The master, looking at his disciple with seriousness, said, "If you truly desire to attain wisdom, you must desire it as much as you desired oxygen when you were underwater. That same desperation, that uncontrollable yearning, is what you need to achieve any transformation in your life. The disciple, still recovering, listened intently as the master continued. Many people say they want to change their lives. Some desire abundance but then spend more time watching TV than working on how to create that abundance. Others want to heal. They say a small prayer to the universe, God, or energy, but continue living in the same way that made them sick. There are those who long for a stable and loving relationship but keep the same destructive habits, going out with single friends and neglecting their personal well-being. The master paused, letting his words sink deep into the disciple, and then added, "If you truly want to transform your life, you must desire it with the same intensity with which you desired oxygen when you were underwater. You must create a divine obsession and put that desire at the center of your life. Only then will your life transform. Remember, the universe is mental, and what you think constantly manifests." Buddha said, "We are the result of everything we have thought. That is reality." Teaching, the story teaches a powerful lesson about desire and determination. The disciple learned that to attain wisdom, or any other significant goal in life, one must desire it with an intensity and urgency comparable to the need for air. This level of desire is not superficial but deep and total. Often, people express desires to change their lives, improve their situations, or achieve new goals, but their actions do not reflect that intensity of desire. True transformation requires more than just a simple wish. It requires total dedication and consistent action. To achieve our goals, we must be willing to make sacrifices, change habits, and focus completely on our objectives. The story of the disciple and the master illustrates that true wisdom and change come from deep desire and unbreakable determination. By placing our desires at the center of our lives and acting with purpose, we can transform our reality and achieve our highest aspirations. We hope these 3 powerful Zen stories have resonated deeply with you and offered a new perspective on the importance of silencing and emptying your mind. Through the teachings of the great Buddhist masters, we've learned that true wisdom and inner peace are not found in the constant agitation of our thoughts but in the calm and clarity that arise when we free our minds from unnecessary burdens. In the first story, we saw how Master Bodhidharma helped the Chinese emperor understand that the mind is not a physical object that we can point to and control at will. Instead, it is a mental activity that we can learn to stop, giving us the ability to find moments of peace and meditation in our daily lives. The second story showed us the compassion of the elder monk, who carried the woman across the river, and how his disciple learned that the emotional burdens we carry can be far heavier than the actions themselves. Learning to release these past burdens is crucial to living fully in the present and freeing our minds from unnecessary worries. Finally, in the third story, the young disciple discovered that the desire for wisdom and transformation must be as intense and urgent as the desire to breathe. This lesson reminds us that to achieve any meaningful goal in life, we must focus with unbreakable determination and burning passion. Now it's your turn to apply these teachings to your own life. Reflect on how you can empty your mind of unnecessary thoughts and worries. Take a moment each day to meditate, be present, and let go of the burdens of the past that hold you back. Remember that true peace and wisdom come from within, and only you have the power to free your mind and find that inner serenity. No matter how busy or chaotic your life may be, there is always space for stillness and reflection. Make meditation a regular part of your routine, and observe how your perspective changes, how your mind becomes clearer, and how you find deeper peace.